What? No, a cartoon cannot be that sad. Hello lovely people of YouTube and welcome back to Mark on Life and Ghibli Time. Thank you to everybody that watched last week's episode, which was My Neighbor Totoro. If you haven't seen it yet, I will leave a link in the description below and at the end of this video. So this week's episode is going to be very different to last week's because it's a very different film. This week we are covering one of the most beautifully affecting film that Studio Ghibli ever made, and that is Grave of the Fireflies. Grave of the Fireflies came out on the 16th of April 1988, and as I said last week, it was part of a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro. What I didn't say is one of the reasons why. They thought possibly that because Grave of the Fireflies has a sort of more educational context and some merit, that it might be useful and sort of to go on the list of films that school children need to watch on the syllabus, which would then sort of secure its financial success. Unfortunately, because Grave of the Fireflies, although it's an amazing film, has been quite overlooked in the series, often people would go to see My Neighbor Totoro and it's fun, it's wonderful, and it's charming, and then not want to stay to feel sad for Grave of the Fireflies. So it's definitely been one of the more overlooked films in the series, which is a mistake. Japanese title of this one is Hotaru no Haka, which again is very, very literal in this sense. Firefly Grave, or Grave of the Fireflies. So this one is bang on right. So the director and writer of Grave of the Fireflies is Isao Takahata, one of the two big directors in Studio Ghibli with Miyazaki. But although Takahata wrote the script, it's actually based on a short story, a semi-autobiographical short story from 1967 by Akiyuki Nosaka, who is someone who had a very similar situation in his family and actually turned out to be one of the big financial backers for the film. So sort of the very strong source material and also intrinsically involved in the making of the film. Music is by Michio Mamiya. Again, very, very different music to Joe Hisaishi, but the music is one of the most fantastic elements of this film. It's very sweeping and epic and affecting, absolutely beautiful score. Again, couldn't be more different from My Neighbor Totoro, sort of light and sort of plinky plonky and sort of very nice music, and this is much more, you know, wartime sort of epic type music, which obviously fits the context, but an absolutely fantastic musical score in this one. Unlike a lot of other Studio Ghibli films, there's no Hollywood superstars doing the English dub in this one, but interestingly enough, Takahata, the director, was very interested in getting age and location correct people. Often, even when it's playing children, you get people who are way older. So for example, in Laputa, we have James Van Der Beek playing a much, much younger boy. But in this film, Takahata wanted exactly what was on screen. So he got young children of exactly the age that he wanted to play the parts, the main two parts, and only really looked for people in the Kansai area of Japan, which is where this is located, in Kobe. So his main sort of look was authenticity. He wanted it to be a very authentic look for the animation and a very authentic sound with the actors, or non-actors actually in this case, who were chosen to do the parts. In terms of themes in Grave of the Fireflies, most people when they look at it would instantly see an anti-war message because it's based at the end of World War II. But actually Takahata has said repeatedly that this is not an anti-war film. That is not the message at all. The message is isolation. What happens when you are outside society, without support, without people, without anything to strive for, or when you have that and then you lose that. So it's really, that's the central core of this film, is being away from society, outside society, what isolation can do to people. There are also two live action versions of Grave of the Fireflies, one made in 2005 and the other made in 2008. I have not seen either of them, so I can't comment. If any of you have seen them, please let me know if they were any good, or if you have a link to them, that would be great. But they do exist, but I can't comment on them. So what happens in Grave of the Fireflies? The plot of this one is actually quite simple, and it's more about, just like My Neighbor Totoro, that's the similarity between them. It's not a very complex plot. It's about just being there with the characters. It's set in Kobe, in Japan, right at the end of World War II. Well, actually, we start in March of 1945. Apparently, it's very technically March 16th or 17th in 1945, and spans all the way till September. So through near the end of the war, all the way to the end and past the end of the war. We centre on two children, the older one, Seita, the older boy, and the younger girl, Setsuko, and their mother living in Kobe at the time of the bombings. And it's a time when there's air raid shelters and bombs going off constantly, and a bomb hits their house and their area, and unfortunately their mother is taken to one of the hospital sort of areas there and dies almost immediately from her burns and her injuries. Seita, the older boy, is charged, is the word I suppose, with looking after his younger sister, Setsuko. He doesn't tell her that the mother has died. She sort of discovers it later on because he doesn't want to hurt the feelings of his sister. And they go and live with the aunt. Unfortunately, although it's safe there for a while, the aunt starts to become quite resentful about the kids being there. They're not, earning the food that she's cooking, although, how can they? They're children and the whole town has been destroyed. What are they supposed to do? And eventually they can't take it anymore and they leave. And they move to a disused bomb shelter. One night in the rain, Seita finds this bomb shelter in a little hill, and then after they want to leave, they think, oh, we'll go there. We'll live on our own. We'll be all right. We can survive. I'm not going to say any more than that, because from there it is the two siblings, Seita and Setsuko, surviving. As part of this series, something that was important to me was to watch these films again. I've seen them all, but I wanted to do these videos immediately or very soon after having watched them. So I literally just watched Grave of the Fireflies again this morning. Can I recommend it to people? Of course I can. It's an amazing film. Now I'll put a warning on this one. If you're looking for something that is sort of fun and light and charming, this is not the film for you. That is not what Grave of the Fireflies is. I don't want to over-egg the pudding here, but it is possibly one of the most affecting, emotional films of all time. And I'm a big film buff, so I don't say that lightly. It's possibly the saddest film that has ever been made. It's also one of the most beautiful films. It is very patient, charming in its own way, and is all about the characters. The relationship between Seita and Setsuko, a brother who is doing anything and everything he can to protect and keep his sister safe. It is just one of the most special movies you can watch. It's not lots of exposition, it's not action, it's just the relationship between these two people, and it's done so beautifully that I absolutely recommend it. But like I say, if you're someone who can't handle this kind of film, you can't handle just a very, very deep, emotional, sad film, then please don't watch it, because it won't be for you. Watch My Neighbor Totoro. It's light, it's beautiful, it's fun, it's wonderful. This one is very, very different. It's deeply affecting, it's deeply sad, it's deeply emotional. And if you are someone who is interested in that other side of Studio Ghibli, or that side of film in general, then I absolutely recommend it. It's one of the best in the Ghibli canon. It's just a must-see. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked this episode. Leave me a comment if you've seen Grave of the Fireflies. What did you think? Did you like? Did you dislike? Let me know and we can discuss. Share this video anywhere you want and subscribe to my channel to see more episodes. I'm on all the usual social media places. Twitter and Instagram are both Mark Joseph Actor. Next week, we are going to be looking at one of my personal favorites again in the series, which is Kiki's Delivery Service. So I will see you next week for Kiki. So from me, Mark on Life and GhibliTime, I will speak to you soon.